Hey, so guys, Rockskull here, and in this video we are going to be talking about what every hero in the game thinks about Overwatch's return, since it's such an important part of the game's story. I should say first off that no, I'm not talking about Overwatch the video game returning 2 years ago that the devs still somehow call a sequel. I'm talking about the Overwatch that was an organization in the lore that saved humanity from the first Omnic Crisis, but was eventually shut down due to some shady things going on within it. In the Recall animated short, Winston initiated a recall of all previous Overwatch agents, as he thinks humanity is in such a rough state again in need of heroes. Opinions about its return seem to be all over the place due to what happened before, so we are going to be going over what every individual hero in the game thinks of its return. The first category is those who just love the idea of Overwatch returning, and who better off to start this category than Mr. Winton Overwatt. This scientist initiated the recall of all Overwatch agents and is the sole reason of Overwatch's return. He believes in Overwatch's vision more than pretty much anybody in the current day. Next we got what I would consider Winston's #1 fan, Tracer. She remembers the days of Overwatch fondly, and has a super close connection to Winston. She obviously believes in the vision too, being the first one to respond to Winston's recall. Reinhardt I have starting at the top of this likes category here, as he is what I would consider one of the most loyal Overwatch members. Even with all he has been through with the original Overwatch, he still returns. He of course mainly returns because of Baldurich, but I also think he believes in Overwatch more than most. D.Va's opinion of Overwatch actually seems a lot more positive than I would have expected. If you look at the final comic of New Blood she is featured in, she begs the Mega Squad leader to consider joining forces with the recalled Overwatch. They initially deny her request, but after Overwatch helps them out, they reconsider and let D.Va join them. D.Va seemed more than happy to join Overwatch with her clearly believing in them. I would also assume Echo is very fond of Overwatch and its vision due to her creator Dr. Liao working with Overwatch in the past. As she said herself, all she wants to do is help. I think Lucio also really likes Overwatch as well, with him literally saving his bum in Rio in the Invasion story missions. He was more than happy to join Overwatch himself too, to help with stopping Null Sector. Mei, just like Tracer, was one of the first people to answer Winston's recall. She clearly also believes in the vision of Overwatch, and even put herself in combat situations when it wasn't in her skill set. I think the only reason I have her down a bit is that I'm not sure how much she actually likes doing the combat, especially with her getting hurt in Zero Hour. After seeing the bad stuff Talon was doing, it was pretty much inevitable Baptiste would join the other side. He was already going out of his way to warn the old Overwatch agents that they were being targeted by Talon, and when Cassidy showed up to give Baptiste a second chance for redemption, he easily took it. It is actually a bit unknown what Genji was actually doing during the recall of Overwatch. From what we see in the cinematic, he was in North America. I do think he would be around here for this ranking, though, as Overwatch 2 Genji definitely believes in Overwatch from the stuff Zenyatta taught him, and I'm sure he also wants to stop Null Sector. It's also a bit hard to gauge Bastion's thoughts on Overwatch, as he of course doesn't speak, but I'm guessing being around Torb so much made him really like the group. The only thing I sort of question is how much Bastion enjoys destroying his Omnic brethren. I can easily see him being swayed to Null Sector's side, as he was easily swayed to Anubis in the original Omnic Crisis. Zarya seemed more than willing to join Overwatch as soon as Cassidy offered. She seemed to know about Overwatch before it got disbanded originally, and didn't seem to have a completely negative outlook on them, which is why she probably ended up joining. Juno is someone I think would actually consider joining Overwatch, as they are the ones most likely to help her in her current situation. From what we learn in their comic, The Red Promise, their crew was pretty much abandoned by Liu Kang Interstellar. Juno is back on Earth in seek of help to save her family, and I think Overwatch may be her best bet on saving them. Mainly since it is clear Liu Kang is a very corrupt company from what we learned from Hammond, and they most likely put their goofy priorities in other places. Kiriko I would also consider someone who is thinking of joining, as she shows a keen interest on Overwatch showing up in Japan to help them with Null Sector. I think this says that she may be considering joining herself if they show up, as she does love saving those in need in her country already. Cassidy was someone who didn't seem to actually want to answer the recall initially, saying in the reunion cinematic he had more important business to attend to. He eventually realized to himself that he shouldn't be turning tail when the world is going to crap. Then with some convincing by Ana, he decides he should get some new blood to join Overwatch with him. Ana believes that if she rejoins, the things that originally poisoned Overwatch would return, but she definitely isn't against its arrival. She helps Cassidy get a bunch of new recruits to join, including her own daughter. Even though she never says it explicitly, I do think she thinks about rejoining every now and then, especially with her daughter being in it now, but currently she doesn't seem to completely be on the path of doing so. Torb is in a similar boat where he definitely believes in Overwatch's return, but he knows it's more important he stays home and protects his family now. Zenyatta I could not really see joining Overwatch himself, being such an important member of the Shambali. By having Genji as an apprentice and his beliefs, I could easily see him being completely fine with the return of it. Lifeweaver is a weird one where we don't actually really know what his beliefs are on Overwatch. I do think this is a solid placement because he really just wants to help the world with his BioLite, and has positive interactions with Overwatch members in-game. I don't think he would join himself, though, as he is technically a wanted criminal in many countries. I do still think he would believe in Overwatch's cause. Symmetra is similar where we don't really know her exact thoughts on Overwatch's return. She definitely doesn't want to leave Vishkar for something like Overwatch, because not even her close friend Lifeweaver could convince her to leave. She finds the company lets her reach people she normally couldn't. I do think with her recent meetups with Zenyatta and Lifeweaver, though, she would at least think Overwatch's return is acceptable in the world's current state. Venture has a lot of positive interactions with returning / old Overwatch members. I'm sure with Talon on their tail now, they would probably take Overwatch's side in most scenarios. Even with this, I don't think Venture would really join Overwatch themselves. They have a strong connection with the Wayfinder Society, and I don't ever really see them leaving to join Overwatch. The only scenario I would see it sort of happening is if the Wayfinders need Overwatch's help with Talon. Sombra is someone I would consider that plays all sides to get the information she personally needs, but she wouldn't really join Overwatch herself being a part of Talon. I would still say she likes Overwatch's return, so it's possible for her to figure out who actually shut it down, as she believes it was some secret power bigger than Talon, this power being a lot more likely to show up again since Overwatch returned out of nowhere. The next category are individuals who take more of a neutral stance on the return, or just don't really care. Pharah was someone who actually didn't respond to the recall immediately. She was proud of the stuff she had been doing for Helix, and didn't have those same dreams of joining Overwatch as she did as a kid. Her mother Ana really suppressed her originally on joining Overwatch too, but in the New Blood comics she apologizes for doing so and actually recommends she should join the recalled Overwatch. Since these old wounds got healed, Pharah was finally willing to join. Orisa is the most recent member, with her finally going to join Overwatch at the end of her Hero's Ascendant story. Her creator, Ify, seemed to always want to join Overwatch with her being such a big fan of those like Sojourn. Orisa, however, did not seem to want to have anything to do with Overwatch at all, wanting to only protect Numbani, as this is what she was programmed to do. It took a lot of convincing from Ify, but eventually at the end she realizes the city can be safe without her. What Overwatch is doing isn't that bad, so she goes to join. Brigitte is the first one on here that I would consider a member that may still have a bit of a negative outlook on Overwatch, as she remembers the stuff her mentor Reinhardt had to go through with the organization previously. It was only after a bit of convincing from Reinhardt himself that he must always answer the call did she finally reconsider. I think she may still only be part of Overwatch because Reinhardt is there, rather than actually believing in the group working in the long run. Mercy is one of those older Overwatch members who knew the damage the original Overwatch had caused, which made her not answer the recall at all originally. She did not think Overwatch could work. However, when she met up with Ana and Soldier in Cairo, she saw the hero she could be to save others. This led to her showing up in Paris to help Winston defend Null Sector. There are still references of Mercy questioning Overwatch as an organization still, so I have her at the bottom of those who are currently part of Overwatch. Hanzo did not seem interested at all in Overwatch coming to Japan when Kiriko mentioned it, as he knew it would mean another meeting with his brother. He may show more interest in the organization down the line if he ever feels worthy, but I don't see that happening for a long time. All he thinks of Overwatch currently is probably just something that took his brother away from him. Sigma is just an insane boy, and probably doesn't think much of Overwatch or any modern organization at all. He probably still doesn't fully realize what Talon as an organization even does still. Iliari is the final hero I have here as someone who probably doesn't care too much about Overwatch's return. Her whole thing is about going at the world alone as the last Inti warrior, so I doubt she would show much interest in an organization like Overwatch. This category is about those who just dislike the return of Overwatch, and think it probably should have just stayed gone. Soldier and Sojourn's feelings of Overwatch's returns both seem to be in a similar thought process, with them both saying, as old members of Overwatch, it got shut down for a reason, and would most likely make the same mistakes again upon its return. The only difference between these two opinions is that Sojourn was still willing to at least help Overwatch with Null Sector, while Soldier seems to be more interested in destroying the things that may have actually caused the fall of Overwatch. Wrecking Ball's feelings of Overwatch would probably be pretty bad if I were to guess, mainly since Winston was the main one who initiated the recall. If you don't know already, Winston stole Hammond's rocket design and left for Earth without him when they were good friends on the lunar colony, so anything to do with Winston, Hammond would most likely not like. Junker Queen I could see disliking Overwatch with one of the organization's end goals being peace between Omnics and humans. Also, not to mention having a couple Omnics on the team themselves. One of the main aspects of the Junkers is their overall hatred for Omnics, so I would see no real reason for Junker Queen to like Overwatch at all. Junkrat and Roadhog would also share these reasons, but also being partners in major crimes makes me think they easily wouldn't like Overwatch at all either. This final category here are the people who downright hate Overwatch, and would probably go out of their way to stop this organization. Ash is someone I could pretty easily see not liking Overwatch. Overwatch's whole thing is about stopping world-threatening crimes, and I could see Ash being one of those figures if she goes to steal something super important with her Deadlock gang. There's also the other important factor of Overwatch being the pure reason Cassidy got taken from the Deadlock gang and switched sides. I think it's pretty easy to say that Ramattra would not like the return of Overwatch at all, with them being the reason a lot of his plans failed in the past. Even though the events are most likely not totally canon, we actually got to see his clear thoughts of Overwatch in the Transformers comic he was featured in. That boy just wants them to be eliminated. Then of course at the bottom of this whole list this, we have most of the members of Talon, with Doomfist of course being the one who hates them the most. He has a whole plan of eliminating any Overwatch members who were called upon during Winston's recall, as he knows them being back would cause a lot of problems for Talon. These other members individually all have their reason for hating Overwatch being back as well. Maga lost one of his good friends Baptiste to the organization, Moira got kicked out of Overwatch due to her experience getting too wild, Widow lost everything she had due to her husband's connections with Overwatch, and Reaper also seemed to lose his old self completely upon Overwatch's destruction. And there we are. That's what I think every hero's thoughts on Overwatch's return would be. What do you think of this ranking? And what would you possibly switch? Feel free to let me know in the comments. Thank you all for the support as always, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.
Rock skull. All he wants to do is stream all night. Lobby full, rock skull. Never gonna play with me, but it's alright.